Done. Okay, good morning, good evening, everyone, one more time. So let me start from sharing my screen so everyone could see agenda items for today. Okay, I'm assuming, Harry, you edit this, right? So
Yeah.
large experience.
Yes, I provided a document, but I think once I think everyone agrees, we can. I will transfer that to Git docs as part of the proposal. But yeah,
Right.
I didn't get a chance to transfer, but yeah, we can just review and then transfer it.
All right, but either way, it sounds like first we can just talk about, continue talking about the process of triaging, and then Harry, and we were planning to talk about my next release issues, and then one more question from Jandeep about a feature. I guess we can start from sharing experience. Is Pasha joined? Yes, he's here.
Yeah, yes, I'm here. Hi.
I can share my experience, and then please add if you. Basically, I feel like we realized that it's not so. This time we were supposed to do triaging together, but basically Pasha doesn't have yet permissions to modify, so it was challenging for him. He could only observe, and during that week we didn't have many of feature requests because it was just wave of bug fixes, bug reports that was found during release candidate testing, and I only remember like 4 new feature requests, and I did triaging, and I basically added. It was kind of basically it was easy to accept all, but I didn't know how to share it with Pasha, and I was thinking to we spoke about it, and I was thinking to send him some just notes, and I didn't do it because I didn't have time. Yeah, Pasha, do you have anything to add to describe?
Yeah. Thank you, Alex. Yeah, from my side, I think I did a bit of in this area, so I tried go over all items. I actually saw this wave of bug fixes from last days, like small UI bugs and so on, during that latest release. Yeah, so I identify them, but yes, because I haven't permission to mark it as bug or something else, it was difficult to me to help somehow in this area. So,
will you say
next time?
Was it at least useful for you? Like, did you have a chance to learn anything at all, or it was like?
I think it's my strategy from first time that I start to work as a contributor, that I go over almost all issues that we have in our issues list and try to answer on some of them, try to reproduce and so on. So yes, it's one of the strategies that I decide to use for understand the Argo CD better.
Okay, so at least it.
Yeah, at least it helped me in such a way.
Right, and I'm going to open the doc. I guess this is the document Harry prepared. Okay. Can you describe the doc, please, Harry?
Sure. Yeah. I think I just provided some of the points where we can again change it once we key on it. So do we actually discuss about tricycle as 1 week or 2 weeks actually?
I guess it's 1 week. Okay, we didn't talk about it, and I assumed it's 1 week. I guess because we had this rotation for discussion moderator.
Okay, so I think this I will right. So other thing I think we already talked about 2 triads. One is primary and secondary in the last contributor meeting. So again, like based on the experience from Pasha and Alex, we thought like primary should be at least a member so that they have access to add labels or maybe move in, close it. So all those kind of permissions primary needs to have. So we need at least a member to be primary, and secondary can be everyone like who are interested and who wants to learn and contribute. So they can be anyone. So that's what I have created. And again, like the topics discussed, we have the contributor meeting where we can post in there, and issues to trials. So we have like 3 GitHub issue links. Again, we can discuss on how to, like correctly label emails, updated and notifications. But these are the 3 Git repos which are relevant for Argo CD, which needs to be looked at. And we have already a proposal for how to try as a bugs. I think there is a doc that is shared. So this is mostly, I think, this is just inputs for who are coming new. They can just start looking at it and the contribution and documentation references. So please feel free to add anything that is relevant or it can help. But yeah.
I just wanted to add, we had short discussion about this document with Hari, and basically, I think we just wanted to add some clarity. Like if we have primary and secondary doesn't really have permission to change label or add milestone, but still wants to participate, we just wanted to propose to use comments. Basically, just give a hint to primary that you would add this issue to milestone, or you might just say it's a bug, but it's not critical. That's why let it be. We'll pick it up when time comes, and then you can attach labels. And basically, when we spoke about it, I remember that we already had a document that describes all the labels we have. Jan wrote the document, and it basically, yeah, and then we just wanted to bubble it up to make sure that everyone see it. So yeah, basically a quick summary that during triaging, the result is a label and milestone, either added, like I guess, yeah, we need to add labels no matter what, and then basically prioritize it by adding to milestone or not. And secondary can just use comments, and primary actually will perform, the mechanical thing and move to a label. Yeah. Okay, and then we didn't talk about it, but basically so far we completely ignore 2 other projects that exist. Like we have Argo notifications and image updater. We've advertised them as Argo CD features, but kind of it's like Jan handle 100% of issues in Argo CD image updater project. And we have like a hidden member, Ryota Sakamoto, who works on Argo CD notifications, and he's like solo supporter of that project. And I guess we're proposing that we should start looking into these projects too. And both projects are supposed to eventually make it into Argo CD, at least I know that there was already a proposal to do it for image updater, and we basically Argo CD notifications kind of already have there. We already merged notifications into rollout, so it's Argo rollouts basically has that functionality built in, and I guess we're going to do same for Argo CD notifications. That just to highlight the importance. It's like it's part of project already, and we should be looking at issues.
Yeah, likewise with application sets.
Oh yeah, actually, sorry. That I guess we thought about. Yeah, I didn't suggest that link, but I think you're totally right. Yeah, application set is even more important. I would put it on top of image updater and notifications, but let me do it right now.
And what about GitOps engine? Should we be watching that as well?
Actually, you're right. It's kind of it's just GitOps engine typically gets very technical issues. It's like requires less discussions because engine is a library, and typically from use case perspective, it starts in Argo CD repo. And then once we realize that something is missing in engine, but I guess you're right. I just know it will be more difficult to make meaningful decision about GitOps engine proposals because like it requires you to have context. But yes, technically we should. I will do that too. Okay.
I think let's review maybe later on when we see like there are more issues to try on GitOps. But for now, I think it should be good. I think. Right?
Do you mind if I edit and then we can decide if like we can collect feedback and people can say, okay, it was meaningless. It's like, or yeah, GitOps engine typically it doesn't get issues. It gets PRs because we will find something that it's not working in CD, and then we would create a pull request. But let me edit just so that if there is no activity, we can simply remove it. Or if it gets too many confusing bug reports, then we need to discuss like how to make it less confusing. Right, and how do we do you want to link that, like, do you?
Yeah, so
do you intend
I think
to-
once everyone agrees, we can just transfer this to GitHub Docs and our Argo
Oh,
CLI,
okay.
just like a proposal, and everyone can start looking at it. I don't think another document will make sense. We just include it in as a part of GitHub Docs.
Yeah, so this document just to explain, your proposal, how to structure.
Yeah, that's right.
Cool.
That's right.
All right.
So the tricycle starts from Friday to Thursday, right?
Yes, I guess technically it's Thursday.
Then I think we can discuss about who will be the next trials probably later today, but yeah, we should discuss about that as well.
I think we should discuss, like,
Yeah.
while we're still on the topic. Basically, we still don't have. I think we were hoping to get list of volunteers offline. We still have Abhishek, and then it will be again Pasha and me. We need more people. I guess maybe like call to everyone in the.
Alex, I could be a part of that,
Okay.
but I don't have access to add labels.
I guess that means you. Okay, and I thought you have access
I can check that and let you know again.
I'm just asking, like, I know that you remember, right? You're part of GitHub.
Yeah.
I believe you need to be a committer in order to set that stuff.
Let me at least add a note here that we should. Okay, I was assuming that members have access, and I guess we check.
Hey, Alex, I like the volunteer as well.
Thank you. Can you please add your name? So while I'm typing the note.
Oh, William.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, can you please type your name in the?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just self-edit to issue to Azure. I was assuming that members can do it, and I guess we will need to change GitHub settings to enable it.
Yeah, I think as of now, members cannot. I think we have to create a role and then basically probably make all members a member of that role.
But do you think I think we should do it, right? Any objections to give that permission to members? Yeah,
no.
I'm asking.
The other problem we had earlier was that we agreed that members should be able to moderate GitHub discussions, but they also don't have that privilege right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we should create like a default member role such that any member of the Argo org can do these activities.
Yeah, Jan was asking the same question on the Argo maintainers Slack channel on CNCF. It does seem to be a general issue, and hopefully it can be fixed with triage permissions.
Okay, so basically, maybe we'll introduce a role triager and assign that role to all members by default.
But no objections.
Okay. All right, so, and we've got to name, and William didn't add his name. I'm going to edit William. William, I just added you, so. Yeah.
Oh yeah, thank you. I'm not on my computer. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Okay, so we're good for at least a couple of weeks now, if not longer.
Yeah. So next cycle, who will be doing it? Is it Abhishek and Chetan or Ishita and Abhishek?
Technically, Abhishek, I think. Okay, Abhishek is a member as well. So,
okay.
I guess the question is: do we need 2 person or 1?
I mean, it's fine to have 2 secondary as well as member. Just that even if anyone who wants to be interested, they can be secondary if not member. If he is not a member, he or she. But it's fine to have 2 members be primary and secondary.
Since this is my first time, I think I'd be a shadow to understand, and maybe in the coming weeks I feel more confident to be the primary.
And how about you, Chetan? Do you feel good to be a kind of a primary and help Abhishek?
I think who current Chetan only who spoke, right?
Oh
yeah,
Chetan is
yes. Okay, how do we do it? Like we cannot have two shadows shadowing each other. We need someone who feel confident. How about William? Like, do you want to help Chetan or Abhishek? We need someone.
Yeah, sure. If I want into, well, yeah, either way works. If I need some, come up with some question, I'll think one of you anyway. So.
All right. And since Abhishek was just first in the list, I will remove you and then, highlight here William and Abhishek. All right, then I guess that topic is done then. So I'm going to move on to talk about milestone. Any questions or comments before I move on?
Yeah, just real quick. So even I would be doing it for the first time whenever I do it. So I was wondering if we should mention whether we want to be like the secondary or primary in like brackets. Maybe that'll help in the doc.
Oh, you mean mention in that list and basically highlight if you're secondary, I guess.
Yeah.
I think feel free to add your secondary status next to your name. I think we don't need to maintain that. So whoever is adding their name, please feel free to mention what they want to be, whether it is primary or secondary.
Right. That's a good comment. Okay, I'm moving on to milestone. I guess so. What we are supposed to do is just to kind of everyone can propose a feature that you want to be in milestone and basically explain why, and then if you want to work on a feature, then mention that please, and we will assign it to you. So, and it was easy to create 2.2 milestone because we pretty much carry over most of the stuff from 2.1 milestone. And I was going to just highlight most important things that we were working on. And I wanted to talk about the refreshing documentation one more time, because I think this task is super important, but it's looking for some help.
So before going to milestones and all, I just want to ask all the contributors, like if you get a chance to review or think about what could be the next feature that everyone wants to be, like what are the important items from the contributor side or from the Red Hat or CodeFresh. Did you get a chance to review that or get a list before Alex actually present some of the milestones that we thought like they're important for Argo City?
From my side, no, unfortunately, I hadn't chance to review this, but I know that maybe I'm working on one of the items that hopefully will be part of this milestone.
Yes,
So,
I guess this time we kind of, Pasha was just asking for help, and I offered him the story, which is part of milestone. Yeah. So basically, you didn't look, but you're already part of next to the 2 release.
Yeah, that's what I assume. Yes.
I can't speak to Argo CD specifically, but for application sets, we have our own milestone. And I've got a kind of a list of things that I'm tracking for that, which we don't need to go through here, but yeah, just FYI, there are some items that I'd like to get to that the community is definitely requesting. But those would live we wouldn't need to go through those here. Those would live in its own repository under its own milestone. But from the Red Hat side of things, that would be one thing that we're looking at.
Okay.
William, do you happen to know if yourself or Jan had a chance to look at the Argo CD side of things?
No, I didn't have a chance to look over the Argo CD side of things.
I think that's fine. We can start today, and it's like we're not going to close it and seal it like today. We can still modify and maybe use next week or week after next week to add more items or remove something from here. Okay, then I will just go quickly through. Basically, these are just 5 items here, and for each one has corresponding bug report or like issue request in that list with more details and more explanation. And I'm just going to give high-level description. So we were trying to get Argo rollouts UI in Argo CD UI in 2.1, and this is already work in progress. So 2.2 is to finish it basically. And idea of that feature is to build an extension mechanism in Argo CD so that it can load custom UI for CRDs. Basically, long story short is that users will be able to click on any resource in Argo CD application details page, and then we would show the familiar sliding panel that has a bunch of tabs, and there will be one more tab that has resource-specific UI, and we're going to start from rollouts. Basically, user will be able to click on rollout and then see rich visualization of rollout that includes steps and current rollout state, and everything that is available in rollouts dashboard. And I think the end goal is to make it popular, and hopefully we will get a lot of support for many custom resources in Argo CD UI. So this is already work in progress, and it's hopefully will finally be done in 2.2. So next item is the same kind of story. We started working already in 2.1 on improving config management plugins in Argo CD, and final goal is that basically Argo CD has first-class support for, I think, 4 tools, and we realized it's a pain to maintain. Not a pain, it's just a lot of work to maintain each tool, and it's kind of difficult to do it if it's part of core. And that's why we decided to take existing config management plugin functionality in Argo CD and try to enhance it to the point where plugins would provide exact same user experience as built-in tool support. And hopefully at the end of this story, we will be able to even replace one of the existing tools like Customize and replace it with a plugin. And so we have a proposal ready, we have pull request in progress ready, and we just need to finish that work. So, and I guess that's only part 1, and we want to finish this part 1 work, get some feedback from users, and then continue in next releases on part 2. Basically, we know it's not in 2.2. We're not going to complete it like 100%. We still will need to work on some UI improvements. But so, and that's why. So it's this 2 at the top because we have a lot of requests to get more plugin support, and we really need UI to increase rollout adoption, and we already started working on this. So that next one, it's basically an improvement of we're trying to make it easier for end users to help themselves and start and let them configure connect more clusters and repositories to Argo CD without asking admin. And that was pretty much just observation from us. Like we noticed that community, basically we've got several similar bug reports from the community, and people were asking about the same. They were just telling, everyone was describing the same use case, that we have a team of admins who simply run Argo CD, but these administrators don't have access to clusters and repositories themselves. They basically only admin of Argo, and users, they own the infrastructure around, and users just wants to connect that infrastructure to an instance and then use it to manage that infrastructure. And right now it's impossible to do without help of an admin. Users must reach out to admin, ask admin to basically share permissions with the admin, Then admin use these permissions to connect to Argo CD, and that's kind of a broken process. So, and we have a proposal that was already kind of, we agreed on how to improve it. We merged it into proposals documentation, and yeah, and basically Pasha started working on the feature. Yeah, so, and basically justification to have it here is because that feature, like we have we kept kind of two issues, one for repos, one for clusters, and each one has like around 30 thumbs ups already. So it's a popular request from the community. All right, next one, it's kind of, I would call it bug fixing or enhancement of existing functionality. So Argo CD uses label to remember kind of which resources it deployed, so that in the future it can maybe delete, prune all resources, or notice that, like, yeah, basically there are a bunch of use cases solved by tracking which resource was deployed by which Argo CD application, but using label causes some issues, and we identified 4 gaps. One of them, label has fixed, like cannot be longer than 34 characters, so 64 characters, and there are more. So basically, we ended up writing a proposal. Then we kind of agreed on, we have a bunch of comments that describe how eventually we want to improve that functionality. We still need to update proposal, but basically we know how we want to build that feature. We just need to document it, finalize one more time, and it's still possible that we can implement it in 2.2, because it's mostly about just brainstorming about how to do it. The code changes are not going to be very heavy. Yeah, and okay, so, and just to step back, I guess we, like, team from Intuit committing to work on this too. We've got commitment from Pasha to help us with this fun, and resource tracking, looking for help. And it's there, I guess, too, because it's important. We already know what to do. It's not so difficult to do, and we're looking for someone who can help to execute it. And then refresh documentation. Maybe it doesn't need too much explanation, but Jan started it. Like, Jan already made a good first step, and I think it's kind of, we know that he's proposing to, so our documentation organically grown and just need to be restructured because it's not easy to read it right now. Jan did a first good step. He created repo. He gave us like high level proposal of new, how to call it, table of content, basically restructured the structure of documentation, and we just need to execute it. And so it's important we do it one day, but Jan won't do it alone, and he needs help. And I don't think one team has to commit to do it. We need to find several volunteers who eventually wants to work on documentation. If we don't find it in 2.2, we'll move it again to next release again. That's the high level summary. Yeah, and at least it is longer, but besides these 5, it has, I think, lots of several, small enhancement requests and bug fixes that would be good to fix. And yeah, hopefully we will get community support, but basically no one is going to die if we won't be able to finish items that are not from that list. And if we won't do it, but we can just move it to the next milestone as well.
Yeah, I think the idea is let's review these things. Probably in next contributing we can see like if this is the list or if any other items to be added. But again, like from what Alex said, right? So a couple of them are I think contributed from the Intuit, one from CodeFresh, and remaining, I think let's discuss like who can contribute. And for the bugs as well, we can start tracking like maybe once every 2 weeks to see like help wanted or who wants to be contributed, just to encourage more contributions from the community. I think we can start looking at the progress as well. And I think that is my proposal, but we can discuss on how we can actually track the milestones and how we can track the progress going forward. But again, please come forward and take the tasks. And if there is anything, even if it is some new contributor, it's fine to pick up some of the new ones. And we have the help when we have the Slack channels, contribution channels, we can discuss more on it. But please come forward and add or pick up the tasks. And even if you are new, that's fine. I think you can start learning.
Yeah, and I'll let you know. I mean, we've got 6 to 10 people ramping up right now. Most of them are going to be focused on the code side. So on the documentation side, for Argo rollouts, I think we actually have one person, Kostas, that's doing a lot of the documentation work there. So if there's stuff that comes up around documentation, I'd be thrilled if people want to assign it to Kostas and tag me on it, and we can see about trying to get those things figured out.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I know that my feeling is that everyone recognizes that this is important task, but engineers find it very boring and like no one excited to actually do it. We just need a little bit more energy, someone who can lead it. And I guess like Jan did a good kickstart. I need to find the ticket that has already some description of the end goal. Yeah, in the ticket we have more details about basically what's not working currently and what we should improve. Yeah, and I can mention in the ticket,
Yeah, tag Kostas and I on any documentation issues, and we'll see if we can get them resolved.
All right, I will ping him in that issue and see if he's interested to help with it.
Okay.
All right. I think that's pretty much it. Yes, and cool. Feel free to request to add something here. Like if Jonathan, if you have, I know that we were planning to eventually make upset more visible in Argo CD UI. I think maybe it's a good time to start thinking about how exactly. We were thinking to, introduce UI that kind of leverages labels and provide more features to work on bunch of applications as a group. But it was basically on just work, like we were just talking about it, never try to formalize it in the document yet. Yeah, maybe we should start thinking about it. And yeah.
A few months back, we had Jonathan presented the integration plan for the app sets to get into Argo CD. It's recorded. I'm not sure if it got uploaded, but there's it mostly focused on the backend integration and not the UI. But there's some details in that meeting that discussed like how we should integrate the backend for app sets.
Yeah.
I think it basically involved like a pass-through API call that reached the app set server, API server, to perform some of the things like previewing the generated apps that would be created without actually creating it, and then somehow presenting that back to the front end.
Yeah, it's a good idea that like we should hopefully get it maybe in 2.2 or 2.3. Yeah, because upset getting more and more popular. I think we should start supporting it first class in Argo CD itself.
Yeah, so there's that recording. There's also an application set issue in the appset repo containing a link to the Google Doc, which is what I presented at that meeting. So if folks are looking for a quick overview, that's a good place to start.
Right. I guess we're done talking about Milestone, but that's pretty much, at least I didn't have any more information. So we can move Yeah, we can move to the questions about tickets. So let's start from the first one. I had a chance to look at it. Yeah. So basically, the request here is to start. So Argo CD has a feature that allows creating namespace. If you have an application that points to a namespace, but namespace doesn't exist, you can click a checkbox and Argo CD will auto create namespace. And then people now requesting ability to add labels to auto created namespace. And I guess we need to, honestly, we did not talk about that feature, but it feels like we need to make a decision if we want to support it or not. The downside is that today we want to create labels. Tomorrow people will ask for annotations. And then day after tomorrow, maybe we'll need to ask, like someone will ask for some additional fields in a spec. So it's kind of a slippery slope, but at the same time, maybe it's not so slippery because namespaces doesn't have a lot of like details. It's basically just metadata, if I'm not mistaken, labels and annotations. So
there's some security concerns with this feature. The ability to annotate or label namespaces come because a lot of controllers will do like ISIO injection, for example. And that's typically a operator concern.
Mm-hmm.
So if end user can, I guess if they get this feature, if they can create namespaces anyways,
yeah.
The question is.
One kind of comment here that right now, the way Argo CD creates namespace, it kind of goes through project checks.
Yeah.
Like, namespace creation must be whitelisted. So if user able to create namespace at all, that means he or she as well can just create namespace resource in the target.
Okay, so let me take back that concern because it's no worse than right now. Like, I mean, if they can create namespaces, they can create namespaces and they can always label it in Git.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me take that back. But I do think it does sound like it might be a popular feature because of those annotations and labels that people need to inject to get those controller level kind of behaviors, like mutating webhooks. And I guess the question is, where would we allow that to be?
Yeah, and I realized we didn't give a chance to John Deep to ask his question.
No, I mean, that's completely
I didn't
fine.
realize. Okay, yeah, sorry, why don't you present your
yeah, so sorry, I haven't contributed in a while, so I'm kind of refamiliarizing myself with the code to get back into it, but I figured if you have time, I would just raise this. Essentially, yeah, so when I looked at this, I figured I'd take a crack at it because it seemed, at first it seemed it might be straightforward to me, like I could just find where the namespace is getting created and add like a label to it. But I think when I dug deeper into it, it seems to me like it goes through the GitOps engine and then it gets created as a part of the sync operation. So I kind of wanted to see what would be a better approach for that. Like, I guess it doesn't make sense to make any changes in the GitOps engine for that. So it would need to be labeled separately later on. I just want to get some thoughts on what you think a good approach for that would be. Yeah, and then I realized while Alex was talking, I guess this might fall under the resource tracking area that you mentioned anyway. So yeah, I thought it might just be worth discussing if you have time.
Yeah, I guess yeah, open questions are like at which level, like is it a system level setting that all auto-created namespaces will have the same label and then same annotation, or it could be application level. And then if it's a system level, do we want to support any kind of templating? You know, like we can, administrator can define label, you know, metadata template, and that template will have access to application name and some application level specific fields. I guess the first question, do we want to support it at all? So basically we could push back and we could say, if you want to create namespaces, you can as well use Helm, and Helm has access to application And basically you can define namespace in a Helm template and kind of get namespace auto creation functionality using Helm. It's not extremely user friendly, but that's one possible answer. Or we can just say you can define system application level hard-coded labels, no templating. Maybe that's good enough. Or we can basically go like full force and introduce system level names, auto-created namespace metadata template, and yeah.
So if I recall, we actually created the auto create namespace feature to support Helm style use cases, right? Like Helm install has a
hooks,
like create namespace flag, I think. And so Helm can create a namespace as part of the install without having to define that namespace as part of the set of manifest. So I think that was the motivation for actually creating the auto create namespace in the first place. I don't think they have the ability to annotate or label those auto created namespaces. I could be wrong, but because it's controlled by flags, I suspect that you can't.
The other thing I think is whoever created this issue, I think what they mentioned in the proposal is just that the label would just have the namespace, like the name of the namespace in the label. Like I don't think they've thought about it being on like an application level or whether it needs to have app metadata and stuff. Maybe that's like an extension of this proposal. I'm just going on based off of what they've mentioned in yeah, like the proposal section. They just said, I guess it could be like argo cd.argoproj.io /namespace and then the name of the namespace.
Oh, the name of the namespace.
Do we have any example right now using label to create resources? Like, is it the first time we have a proposal? First time we use label to create anything, or do you have any example? Or are we already doing this sort of things?
Sorry, I think I didn't get the question, William. Can you repeat?
Yes, I'm wondering, do we currently use label to automatically create any resources? Like, do we use label to automatically create anything at all?
I don't think we have that pattern.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah, I don't know if we don't have the pattern. I don't know unless there's a reason to introduce that pattern. I don't know necessarily.
I mean, there is the user provided some motivation. It's mostly discoverability. Like, you know, how do you find which namespaces were auto created quickly? Yeah, and then you can use it to clean up, for example, to MDO namespaces. And
later on, we might be looking at people asking to use label to create something, some other resources. So, okay, so if it is a pattern that we like to use, then maybe, and if that probably open a door for future.
I'm not sure if they are suggesting that you should be able to create something just from a label. I think they just meant that if something was already created by Argo CD, then we should have a label so we can identify what was created by Argo CD and what was created by you.
Yeah, one thing about namespace, auto-created namespace, it doesn't even have typical, you know, so all other resources are labeled and namespace is not labeled so that we don't delete it mistakenly when we delete application. So basically you can create application, it will auto-create namespace, then you delete application, but namespace stays. And we did it kind of intentionally because it's not safe to auto-delete namespace, even if you auto-created it.
I honestly, I don't think the reasons listed here are motivation enough to for the feature. But I do think the use case for the injection labels, that's actually a stronger use case in my mind to support a feature like this. But I think there's also a kind of a gray area or a line that we would have to cross. So like at that point, if you want all these labels and annotations on your namespace, it goes beyond just the convenience function of creating a namespace. It seems like something you want to GitOps and kind of declaratively thing rather than a checkbox that you create application create time. So philosophically, I think there's maybe a reason not to do it.
Like a reason not to give fine-grained control, right?
Right. It's kind of starting.
Yeah. What if we like? I think it's a good argument that we should not allow templating, because if you get into templating, then it's like too much. You must maybe you just want to use. It's no longer a convenience. So we can push back on templating, and maybe we can just propose just hard-coded kind of convention. We just can do what user is saying, like introduce a label, and that label is always like predicted. It's there, and users can assume that label will be added to all auto-created namespace, and they can use it for discoverability if they want more. That means, so basically we will not support any annotations or any custom labels. We can only offer one single label that Argo CD will auto-apply to each namespace, and then people can use that label to discover namespaces.
Well, I'm actually saying if we do this, I would rather the mechanism be generic so that they can choose it for this specific use case for tracking, and as well as the Istio use case. So just a more generic mechanism to allow them to label or annotate anything they want. I'm just saying, should we go there and create a feature for this?
Oh, you're saying we either go to the powerful approach or we don't go at all?
Right.
I don't think we just don't know.
And also, I think that I agree with the templating thing is way kind of too far. Like it's, a system level, like, oh, I want all the Istio ones to like have this label, and then another one with all the ALB ingress controller labels that want to do injection for ALB ingress, and then that seems like a step too far. But just having like a field, like just like a metadata, namespace metadata, where they can put labels and annotations, and then they can do whatever they want in there. I think I'm open to that. It's just it's additional stuffing configuration management into the rollouts and the application spec.
Okay, and basically, if there is no templating, it must be application level setting.
Yeah.
Okay, then how about we just explain this and offer that to user and see what he replies. Like we could tell him that we don't want to hard code, we want to let user choose, but we don't want to go too far, and that's why. How about we let you specify which labels and notations namespace has, but on application level. So it's a little bit of burden on user. User will need to specify it every time. Right now it's just checkbox. We're saying in addition to checkbox, you will need to fill labels and values every time, but you get your flexibility. You can do it if you want to.
Okay. I can respond to the issue.
I have a quick related question. So like right now, if like a user has a namespace that they want created like in their Git, which can just be deployed. So could they just add this label? Do they have the ability to just add this label in their namespace in Git and have it deployed as is right now? Yeah. Is that allowed?
It's allowed. The only problem is it's like you want to make it makes application not non-portable. Like right now, you can install the same set of manifests into any namespace. If you hard code namespace name in these manifests, then you the namespace name is predefined. And then if you want to make it more flexible, maybe you can use Helm. Inside of Helm, you have access to release name, and Argo CD sets release name to application name. So you can achieve namespace auto creation and flexibility if you use Helm. yeah, so the namespace auto creation is convenience. It's not like you can live without that feature at all. It's mostly about convenience. Yeah, it's like namespace auto creation is useful. The main benefit it provides is that you don't need to create namespace template in namespace manifest in your Git repo.
Got it. Yes, I mean, for now, I think there's a lot that needs to be discussed on this. I'll just track the discussion before trying to work on it, and can see.
I think Jesse has a good proposal. It's like kind of, you know, that feature stays just a convenience feature, and it's not like we're introducing the whole big templating mechanism, but we need confirmation from user that what Jesse is proposing is going to work. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Thanks so much.
I think if user replies that yes, it works for me, I'm willing to copy paste and type, you know, this value and this value when I create application. Then yeah, why not?
Okay. Thank you.
We have one more request from I. Yeah.
Sorry, I added it last minute.
Just
a small UI question.
Yeah, go ahead. And I just opened the issue here.
Yeah, you see the refresh drop down. The issue was it won't do anything if you click the arrow there. So that's the issue. And I find the fix is to remove one line of code. I just wonder why we need that line, and if I can safely remove that. If you scroll down, you will.
I need to, I guess, I'm assuming maybe there is already a pull request, and I just didn't have time to take a look. I remember the problem though. So that it's just implementation detail of a dropdown. It's like
yes, the thing is I tested without that line and still dropdown will work with no issues. So I just I couldn't track back which who wrote this down and ask him about why we need that line. So
I guess that's me. I wrote that line.
Oh.
And I will need to answer it. I will need to take a look. But
yeah.
Do you have a pull request already that removes that line that you're talking about?
If you scroll down, I added a comment.
Oh, okay. So this line here.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry. Did I open the right one? Oh,
yes, last line. Yes.
Yeah. So I guess this line is there. So it tries to close all the dropdowns. Basically, when you open a dropdown, you're supposed to close others. Kind of. It's bad to have several dropdowns. You know, if you go to user interface, you might have several buttons that open.
Yes. Yeah. Same page, multiple dropdown.
This one is trying to close them, and it was kind of. Now I remember.
Oh, so it's only for closing other dropdowns.
Yes, and I guess the problem here. Oh, sorry, the ticket that you mentioned. Okay, I need to close. Yeah, so this functionality is broken here because we have a dropdown, which should stay open if you open another dropdown. You see the problem here, right? Basically, in all the cases, you want to close all other dropdowns except this particular case.
Oh, okay, I see.
This guy should stay open when you open, like when you, yeah. So, and I think we just need to write we need to write some logic so that this guy understands that it is nested into, so it needs to close all dropdowns except ones where it.
Oh, where it's clicked. Okay.
Yeah.
Except for the current one, all other dropdowns should be closed when I click this one.
So I think
I will.
If you remove this line, what will happen is, you know, we will stop auto closing after all other dropdowns on the page. And user will be able to, you know, click this three-dot button here, dropdown stays open, and then click another three-dot button, and there are kind of two open dropdowns, which is not good. So yeah, no.
Okay, I see. I think when I tested it wasn't an issue to me. You can simply confirm to comment out that line on your end. You can just confirm when you have time. I don't think that happened to me, but I can confirm again.
Yeah,
And
and
if
I need to, yeah, it was like more than a year ago, so I need to double check if it's still.
I don't see an issue when I tested. It looked naturally when I click that arrow and it opens the refresh menu and the main drop down stays there before I click the hard refresh button.
I think I'm just going to try to just remove this line and then test if it.
Yeah, just if it's okay. I think if that's the reason you added it, I think we're fine to remove it. Just maybe you can help me to confirm, and I will make a PR. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome, perfect timing. We done these topics and it's 10 in my time zone. It's 10 basically end of a meeting.
A quick question: how did how's 2.1?
All right, yeah. Basically 2.1. I just deployed it, so we kind of delayed. So we didn't even deploy it into it that we use for testing until yesterday. I deployed it yesterday because we had bugs, but now we still have one open bug, not critical one, the UI, and we started testing internally, and but we already had extensive external testing. So I guess we're going to get it back, and we will get some user feedback into it.
I have one fix that needs to be in 2.1. I submitted a PR for it. The rollout health check has one bug, so I would make sure that is in before deploying it into any rollout clusters.
Okay, that is a good point. So I will.
It's the PR series. Basically the suspended the paused status in the rollout wasn't being mapped to the suspended Argo CD status. So I had to map it correctly. And the error was that any paused rollouts would have the invalid health, unknown health status. So that's an important one for 2.1.
So basically,
there was a glitch. Try again in a few seconds.
So we need to.
There was a glitch.
I think two in progress fixes. So yeah, it's kind of. I think I basically saying it every day that we're almost done, and hopefully this time we're really almost done. So two, like your health check fix and UI fix needs to make it in. Yeah, and the good thing that so we had a bug that we found. It's just to highlight that testing from external users is super helpful. So we had a bug we noticed that during deployment that repo server was crashing. And I opened it just for, because it was like useful stack trace that had information about the crash, but I incorrectly assumed it was just due to upgrade from one commit to another within the release, and external users will never get it. And that's why it was bug was just hanging where I was not going to fix it. And then external users actually reproduced it. I still don't know how, but because we know this, we had the stack trace, we just fixed it. We added kind of graceful handling of dirty data. So yeah, basically that explains my confidence in the release, because it's already used by multiple people, and they even reproduced kind of a bug that is not so straightforward, yeah, and cannot be easily reproduced. Yeah, so hopefully, I think next Thursday we will have we'll just have release, because we're no longer getting endless bugs, endless list of bugs from end users. All right, I think this is it. Right, we can wrap up.
Don't forget to rotate the
exactly
moderator for
Moderator.
the discussion. Yeah.
Thank you.
So Ishida and I looked at, I think, 4 or 5 issues over the past week. So pretty light. Actually, I think most of them within the past couple days. Shita, anything you wanted to add?
No, nothing much. I got to learn a lot exactly how we need to answer to the users. So it was quite helpful, like having a primary a discussion moderator. It just helps to understand exactly, like next time if I am like, I think I'll need to have again one. I'll need to shadow once more. But yeah, I just feel a little more confident about how I could go ahead in future.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Great feedback. All right. So, JC, your name is next on the list. Do you want to do that? Do you have time to do it next week, or you're going to be on vacation?
Triaging, I can do that. Is it, or no, it's GitHub discussions?
GitHub discussions, yes. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think that should go.
All right. Thank you. So let's do it now. And yeah, Jonathan, thanks for reminding. Okay, I think that's the last topic for today. And thanks everyone. I guess see you again in next week.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.